So a man walks into a bar, and it turns out he leaves behind the unreleased Pixel Watch, which now means this is supposedly the Pixel Watch in the flesh. And it turns out all of those early rumours and leaks are indeed true, so let's take a closer look together. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. Welcome back everyone, and new viewers, you're more than welcome here too. You might be aware of just how closely we've been following the Pixel Watch, which is finally set to arrive this year. Evidence has mounted with minor leaks here and there, but now we're getting a look at the wearable for the first time in real life, and the way in which these images leaked really does have an interesting backstory that we want to give you a little bit of a side note to. So apparently this Pixel Watch prototype has appeared after it was apparently left and found in a restaurant somewhere in the US. Images were taken and then passed on to Android Central, who exclusively shared these with the world. It's certainly reminiscent of the 2010 leak of the iPhone 4, which weirdly was almost 12 years ago to the day that these Pixel Watch images were first shared, which is a nice, interesting little coincidence. You also might remember that Google has a bit of a history of losing devices. If you remember, a prototype Pixel 3 was left in the back of a taxi ahead of the 2018 launch of the flagship Duo. These things do happen, people are human after all, but a heavy skeptic out there might claim otherwise. Of course, that's an abridged or really short version of how this watch ended up in the hands of someone who doesn't work directly for Google, and we thought it was an interesting little side story. So you're probably wondering what this has told us that we didn't necessarily know already. Well, along with the recent trademark filings confirming that it will actually be called the Pixel Watch as we all expected, we get to know the design a little bit better, and there are a few hints of other interesting tidbits this watch might come with. Sadly though, only one image of the device, kind of semi-powered on, showing the G logo has been shared, so we're not going to be able to see this particular version of Wear OS running on the Pixel Watch. So according to the person who found it, they confirmed in an ongoing Reddit AMA that the Pixel Watch prototype did have a small amount of charge, but only enough to boot into that kind of semi-loading or pre-screen before the main OS. And they speculate that the Pixel Watch prototype doesn't have a full OS build loaded, and that's a fair assumption as to why it maybe didn't boot into Wear OS 3.0 or whatever version it happens to be running. On top of that, there was no charger left behind, and reverse wireless charging with a number of smartphones hasn't managed to bring this back to life. Maybe it has been remotely wiped by Google, as it has been noted as lost, but we'll likely never know. We are still expecting Wear OS 3.0 or a newer build specifically for Pixel Watches to come with this device, complete with added functions and features, but at least until it is released or is unveiled on stage, we'll have to see what Google has in store, at least with regards to the software. Because the screen didn't power on, we don't necessarily know just how big the screen will actually be and where the UI will end and where those bezels will actually stop. Previous renders have hinted that the display may be edge to edge, but I guess we'll just have to, as always, wait and see what Google has in store. Overall though, we have to say the design is a little more refined than those previously leaked renders, and what looks like there's going to be a much greater curve on the edges of the display. It's almost like the Apple AirTags with that really circular look to an extent, and I've personally said before that there are more than a few resemblances here to the ultra expensive, high premium, standard traditional Resonance 3 type watch, which you can buy already. The recent AMA as well from the founder of this watch has revealed that this particular model is roughly ½ an inch thick and 1.5 inches in diameter. That's approximately 12.7mm by 38.1mm, but more detailed measurements are set to be coming, and we'll leave those in the description when we do find these out for certain or if they are shared at a future date. It's also worth noting that the person who leaked these images doesn't actually have the strap. The person who gave him this watch hasn't given him the strap, so we can't see them attached yet, but that will be happening very soon too. We'll leave a link to images of those as and when that does happen. But when compared directly, or at least the watch face itself is compared directly to the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic and the 40mm Apple Watch Series 7, it's around the same overall size, but for comparative purposes, the 40mm Galaxy Watch 4 is 40.4 by 39.3 by 9.8mm, excluding the health sensor, while the Apple Watch Series 7 has a depth of 10.7mm, so it's in or around the same size point for a smartwatch, which means this is likely on the smaller end of the scale if there is going to be multiple sizes available. As per some of the UI mockups though of Wear OS 3 from Google I/O 2021 last year, there is a pill-shaped button above the crown. You should be able to double press that top button to actually quickly switch between your last used application when the watch is eventually powered on. That said, it's not entirely visible front on because it rests almost completely flush against the casing and is otherwise barely visible when looking at the wearable straight on. The leaker says that it feels identical to the Apple Watch chassis button, which we think is a good thing, but personally I'm not so sure as I've actually never used the Apple Watch. Below this button is the silver crown, which is knurled and has a bottom cap shape. There was no mention of whether this could be rotated, but underneath that is a hole from what we think will be the microphone, or at least an altimeter, which will be used to do things like stair count tracking. And that is alongside what is going to be likely a speaker grill, which will naturally come in handy for the Google Assistant, voice calls and general audio feedback from this watch. We're certain of that. The design itself is smooth and rounded, and there is a very bulbous rear that is defined by a pill with 4 square cutouts which are lined horizontally along the centre of that. We're presuming that these are going to be there for the heart rate sensor and some other health functionality. When you take a little bit of a zoom out, the 2 halves suggest there's going to be an ECG or electrocardiogram capability in regions where it has been approved. We also get a very good look at the watch band mechanism, which appears to be proprietary in nature, and that's likely geared for fast strap switching, and it does bear a striking resemblance to that of the Fitbit clip-on watch straps. But the band itself that comes with this, which was shared in a separate image, is similar to the Infinity bands which come with Fitbits, with a loop and peg design. Detaching, as we mentioned, should be fairly similar to Fitbit watches, with a button that activates and deactivates the latch so you can quickly remove those straps. At the actual top and inside one of those watch strap sections is what should be a diagnostic port, or what we believe is a diagnostic port that is similar in nature to the Apple Watch. This could just be present on the prototype hardware and is likely not going to be user-facing or accessible in any case. Thinking out loud for a moment though, it would really be awesome if some straps or third-party straps out there added extra functionality, but we're aware that this is going to be highly unlikely on retail units. So that's basically a good look at the Pixel Watch in real life images for the first time, or at least a prototype of that. But there are some other specifications that we do know, so let me reel them off quickly to round out the entire package and give you a better idea of what it will be coming. We believe that the Pixel Watch will use the Exynos W920 processor, or a tailored variation of that one. And although it's not yet confirmed, we are hoping for at least 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, at least for parity with the current, or the only Wear OS 3.0 watch on the market, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. It's also worth noting that given this prototype has leaked so late and there's other trademark filings going on, it looks very much like the Pixel Watch is coming soon, and with I/O 2022 right around the corner, it's highly likely we're going to see this watch unveiled alongside the Pixel 6a, or at least mentioned in the keynote. Previous pricing leaks also suggest a price point that is going to be targeting the Apple Watch, or at least hitting that premium Apple Watch tier, so it could be around that $300 price point. That's going to be the most likely pricing for the Pixel Watch. Of course, the question remains whether it will be worth it. I guess, like everything, we're going to have to wait and find out what Google has in store for us when they do eventually release this hardware. So that's the latest Pixel Watch leak in a nutshell. We would love to hear your thoughts on what you think of the design. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Is it exactly what you were hoping for? Are you excited about this watch and this future of Wear OS now that Google is starting to get into the actual hardware side of things, or do you simply not care? Slap a comment down below. Until next time, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.